Hello, my foodie friends, and welcome to another installment of Recipes for the Cooking Impaired. And as you can see, we are now somewhere different. Our recipes are going to be from Italy, Italia, as they say. And as I like to do, I would like to say good day to you in Italian. Please don't roast me in the comments. I'm doing my best. Buona giornata. Anywho, today we're doing the main dish. And for my vegetarian fans, this has no meat. It does have dairy. Sorry, vegans, but there is no meat. We're going to make manicotti. And this is a slightly simplified version because we're not going to actually make the pasta roll, the manicotti roll that the innards cover. And we're not making the sauce from scratch. So this is an easy simplified version, but still has the traditional flavoring. So let's get into it, shall we? First, we're going to need 1.5 pounds of ricotta cheese. Now, I will throw out there in a pinch, you could use cottage cheese and blend it up. This is an old style version replacement. It's also infinitely cheaper, but for the traditionalness, we're going for ricotta cheese. If you do the substitution with the cottage cheese, you're going to want full fat. You're going to want to blend it in a blender like a Magic Bullet or Vitamix, whatever you have. And you're not going to add any extra liquid to it. You want it to be a little thicker, and it'll still be the same amount. All right, next, 1/2 cup of grated Romano or a Romano Parmesan mix. Now, I have friends that are huge Parmesan fans over Romano. So I actually bought an Italian blend cheese that is Romano Parmesan to use in this recipe. You're going to need 1 egg. I know that sounds odd, but you're going to need 1 egg. And for vegetarian fans, if you are not going to be doing the egg, they do make egg replacement mixes that you would use in lieu of that. But you have to follow the recipe on the box. 1 teaspoon of dried parsley flakes. You can also use fresh parsley. If you're going to use fresh parsley, you're not going to use the stem. You'll pull it off, and it'll still be 1 teaspoon. 1 tablespoon of dry onion flakes. With this one, you're not going to use the fresh at all, mostly because the fresh holds a lot of water inside the onion, and we don't want to add a lot of moisture to the manicotti filling. 1 jar of spaghetti sauce. I would choose one that is like the traditional, that's not doesn't have the additional flavoring seasonings to it. So not the garlic or the olive or onion. There are so many of them. Anyhow, you're going to want to use the traditional. Because I have meat-eating fans that I'm cooking for, mainly my camera lady and family, we're doing a meat sauce where the meat is very fine in the spaghetti. But otherwise, use traditional spaghetti sauce, any brand. All right, and then we're going to use the grated Romano topping to sprinkle on top. Now, since we're not making the manicotti noodles, if you would like, I can put the recipe on how to make the pasta for the shells. Let me know. We're actually bought manicotti pasta shells, 8 ounces. These have to be pre-boiled. We're going to do that process in the kitchen. But before we do that, for my metric fans, here you go. You're done. All right, guys, let's go into the kitchen and start this bake. Okay, my foodie friends, so we already have our manicotti shells pre-boiled. So you boil them in the water for 4 to 5 minutes. Boil the water first, then put them in. Take them out after 4 or 5 minutes. And now that brings us to the innards, all the filling. So we're going to pour all of our ricotta cheese in the white container. And thank you, guest hands. And thank you, guest hands. I really appreciate it. And then go ahead and crush that down, because that is a very strange mold-like look, right? We want that all squished and broken down before we add the rest of our items. It's very blobby. It's very squishy. Okay, now we're going to add 1 bag of the Romano cheese. We're using a mixture just because Parmesan tastes really good in this as well, and either one's totally fine. So we're going to put the whole package in, which is the same in this case as 1/4 of a cup. Well, ours is a little more than 1/4 a cup, but that's mostly because we like it extra cheesy. So I would say don't go over 8 ounces in your mix. The more cheese, the cheesier it is, and that's fine. We are still adding some more liquefaction to this in the form of an egg next. But I'm sharing this with friends and the camera lady and her family, and they are big fans. Yep, next we're going to do the egg. They like the cheesiness, and so do I. Okay. Always remember, before cooking, wash your hands, which was done. And after opening eggs, wash your hands. Parsley. Yep. So now we're going to do 1 teaspoon of parsley. And this is the dried parsley. If you have fresh parsley at home, you are more than welcome to do a teaspoon of fresh. That is totally fine. What I had available was dry, so that's what I did. And then we're also going to put in 1 tablespoon of onion flakes. And these are chopped onions that are dried. I would not, in this case, use like regular onion. I'd use the dried, mostly because of the moisture content that's going to go into the mix. When you use fresh, there's more moisture, more natural water that comes out. With the flakes, it's a little better because we're not going to make it too soggy that way. All right, and now finally we'll get it all mixed up, and then we'll be ready to start filling our manicottis in just a moment. If you haven't preheated your oven yet, put it on 350, because that is what we're gonna cook it for. All right, that is beautiful. That's the consistency we're looking for. So we're gonna put this off to the side for a moment. And as you can see, there is a pan ready to go. This is ungreased on purpose. We are gonna put half the jar of the tomato sauce in the pan. A lot of times they do tomato sauce with no meat. We went ahead and got the kind that had the meat in it because it's not very chunky. No meat, then this makes it a vegetarian friendly one. We're just going to kind of spread that around, and then just make sure the sauce covers the whole. Oh, the oven's ready. The oven's ready. Make sure it covers the whole bottom before we start filling our manicottis. The shells, that is. Now, I'll put in the description below if you want to do your own homemade shells. I do have the recipe for that, and I'll put that in the comment area so you can pull that open if you so desire to.
Ew.
It's gonna be a bit squishy, but that's okay. That's perfect. All right, that looks good. All right, so now what we're gonna do, is we are, go ahead and leave it there, because we're gonna fill our manicottis, put them right in. All right, now we're gonna stuff one at a time. We're only gonna put in 3 to 4, I'll say spoonfuls into the center of our manicotti. If you're doing the homemade ones, or if you have shells that have ripped a bit, you're gonna put the seams on the bottom, like in this case. So that seam will go on the bottom. If you're making a homemade, which I'll put in the description down below, I'll put in the description down below how to make your own, then those would have a definite seam that you would put down, face down, seam down in the sauce. And beautiful. And we just want to kind of squish them together, make sure they all fit in place. And then once it's all done, we're baking it on 350 for 20 to 25 minutes. All right, as you can see, we have all of our manicotti stuffed. Now we're going to use the last of the spaghetti sauce to drizzle over the top of each one. Oh, it looks so yummy. Once it's drizzled on, then what we'll do is spread it over to cover it. And then before we put this in the oven, we're going to cover it with some tin foil. And I know we had extra cheese, we had 2 bags, but that doesn't go on till the very end, after the manicotti's cooked and ready to go. So get that all spreaded. And again, remember guys, 350 on that oven. We're going to pop this puppy in. We're going to cook it for 20 to 25 minutes. And then once it comes out, we'll add the cheese and let it sit a bit. That is looking wonderful. Okay, we're going to get it covered and put in. Okay, we just took it out of the oven. It was for 20 minutes. We did not need the additional time, but now is when we can add our cheese. And no, we're not putting it back in the oven. We are going to put the cheese on and then cover it back up with the tin foil to keep the heat in, and that'll give the cheese a chance to melt over the top. So it'll be delicious. Okay. Our Romano Parmesan mix is going on now. Just a little on top. And you can always alter between how much you use. A little more, a little less, depending on your preference and maybe what your family eats or the kind of friends that you're sharing with. Whatever. And of course, how you feel about it. The people that are eating it, it's that where the importance lies. It's important to like what you're eating. All right, now we put the tin foil back on top, and we're going to let that sit for about 10 minutes before we enjoy. That's just to give the cheese a chance to melt. Okay guys, it's been 10 minutes. As you can see, the manicotti is done. It's melted and it's ready to be devoured. So at this time I say bye my foodie friends. I'm going to try this deliciousness and I'll see you next time. Bye.